Hello, Leo. Welcome to your reading with me, Cindy. This week, Leo, we're doing release and receive. So it's going to be, the release is going to be something that you should either disengage in temporarily or permanently kind of let go of in your life. And by doing that, you give space for the universe to bring something new in, which is the receive. So I'm going to start with the archetype deck, and then I've got the L key deck, and I've got my Wizard's Tarot. So these have been very interesting this week. Let's see what we have for you, Leo. Release and receive for Leo. So I am being very specific about the release because sometimes the release can be, if I'm not specific, something within you that needs to come out, that you need to express or do. But this is more like a disengage, like, you know, something that it's just not the time to do it, not the time to focus on it, so that something else is coming in. All right, Leo, Pussycat Nation. There's a very interesting energy, actually, today in your reading. Yesterday was busy. Both Larry and Lily were in the room and all over the place. A lot of bird activity, but today, I don't know where either. No, Larry's in my sink. I don't know where Lily went. But there's a ton of bird activity. So there's like no dog or cat here, but there's lots of bird activity. Just interesting. It's very different energy today. All right, the release, Leo. Addict helps you recognize and confront addictive behavior. This one's really specific. So what the hell are you addicted to? Just let it go. That's it. It's over. It's done. What is this addictive behavior? That's interesting. I mean, gosh, we live in a society where so many things can become addictive. And I think because, you know, a lot of corporations and things that are created, they understand the principle of human addiction and all the different ways that that can show up, right? And as you think about the origins of Coca-Cola, they put like a little bit of cocaine in that, and everybody just, they always wanted their next hit, a Coca-Cola. But I mean, sugar is addictive. So sugar, your eating habits, electronics, apps, geez, like there's so many things here. So that's really curious. It helps you recognize and confront addictive behavior. There's two ways this could be coming in with the way I'm asking the question. I mean, obviously for some of you, I want to say, if you've been struggling with I don't want to say struggling. I think if you've been kind of winning with some type of addiction here, like surmounting it, getting past it, healing from it, and you're almost there, I think this is something to say that, you know what, you're pretty much almost there. It's time to start focusing on something else so that you can just let this kind of naturally go. You know, like it's like when you're constantly, like, I guess if you were struggling with alcohol, and then you're in the early stages of it, right? Like you have to be aware what environments are going to make me want to have a drink, what people are going to make me want to have a drink, what situations are going to make me want to have a drink. Like you have to be consciously connected into that, right? But once you get to the point where you're actually kind of starting to break the habit, and it's becoming second nature about where you know you shouldn't go or what you shouldn't do, it's not, now it's time to kind of let that flow. Like that's what I'm trying to say. If you're getting to that point with some kind of an addiction, it's time to almost let the new habit take over. I guess everything is a habit, isn't it? Like the new habit of however you've kind of redesigned your life to pull you away from what could cause the triggers in this. So, but for others of you, now this is a really, it's hard to say again when I don't know you personally, and this is a general reading, but it is what's coming through, is that if you are struggling with an addiction, and you kind of had it in your head, all right, maybe it's smoking or drinking or I don't know, I'm going to quit it. This is going to be the day. This is going to be the week. I feel like there's a reason that it might not be a good time to do that. It's kind of funny, right? But I don't know, there could be something coming in. Like, we'll see what the receive is. Maybe there's, you know, maybe it's going to be a particularly stressful week and it would not be the best time to try to put your first steps forward in conquering some kind of addiction. Because I'm kind of feeling like, you know, if you decided this is the week that I'm going to quit smoking, and it ends up being one of the worst weeks you've ever had, and boy, could you use a cigarette. I guess I want to say A, if you can get past that week without a cigarette or a drink or whatever it could be, you could probably get past any week. But I just have this feeling like it's almost saying that it won't go good this week, and you will end up coming off the wagon, and then you'll be mad at yourself when it's not really you, it was the timing. So, right? Because I would never want to tell anyone if you've been planning to take some steps towards conquering some type of addiction. Today's not the day to do it, but it feels like that. You know, and it kind of makes sense, because then you might be less likely to actually succeed in it next week if you think, okay, it was a bad week. The tarot reading was right. I'm kind of glad I didn't do that to myself. I think this is a better week, because it's almost like you need some form of stability to take those first couple of steps. All right, well, what's the receive? Oh, hello. The femme fatale. What is going on? Highlights the erotic energy of the feminine. Opens your heart when your dependency is rejected. The shadow, inappropriate use of sensuality, attachment to money and power. Oh, I really want to know what this addiction is. This addiction compromises integrity and honesty, allows an addictive pattern to have authority over your inner spirit. The shadow feels really important for some reason. And maybe because I feel like you already recognize and you've confronted some sort of addictive behavior. You know, I'm kind of feeling more and more like the majority of who I'm talking to in this reading are people that are like at the very final stages of getting over or through some form of addiction. This could also be some type of thinking. It could be some way also of blocking emotions. Right? It's the way that he's holding this water back. It does have that feeling of, and I mean, addictions are usually things that redirect us from what we don't want to look at right now, or we don't want to feel, or we don't want to address. This receive is interesting. Like, I don't know if you're going to find a new sense of sensuality in yourself. Whether it's light or shadow, I don't know. Something could be opening your heart. Like, you could be experiencing something. In the future, the universe wants you to experience something here that's going to open your heart. And two, when your dependency is rejected. Dependency is can be a type of addiction, right? Being dependent upon something or someone. Release this. What are you dependent upon? And I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that is physical in your life. It could be even like some sort of psychological dependency that you've created. The femme fatale even feels a bit like a kundalini energy. Ooh, what's at the bottom? Oh, wow. Okay, you have child divine, then you have visionary, and then you have virgin. So the child divine, innocence, purity, and redemption suggests a special connection with the divine. Visionary, capacity to envision what is not yet conceivable to others, willingness to proclaim a vision without regard for personal gain. That, I feel like the light of both of these are very like inner soul, inner spirit, inner child. Well, child, obviously, right? Divine. But there's a sense of like to have the capacity to envision things that haven't been conceived by others. Children are great at that. Like your inner child too. Like this is the part of you that is the creative source. Willingness to proclaim a vision without regard for personal gain. And I mean, childlike energy is also like that. And then this childlike energy is connected with the divine. I'm going to read you all the lights, and then we're going to go into the shadows. Now, the Virgin, this is also something that is symbolically pure, maintaining symbolic purity of heart and spirit. Okay, the shadows of the child divine, an inability to defend oneself against negative forces. And that kind of feels like, you know, being naive. The shadow of visionary, selling insights to the highest bidder, compromising your vision to make it more acceptable. Wow, it's so fascinating because it's just reminding me of, like, if you can remember your own process as a child, I don't know, maybe mine was different, but this is what's coming to my mind. It's like, you know, when you play with yourself and with adults and maybe other close family members when you're very young, you can't easily express yourself. You know, like there's not much, because you're in an environment that has already started to mold you in a certain way, right? I mean, to be honest, like your family and very close friends, maybe at that age, I'm talking like really young, like maybe more like preschool age. And then you're open to just expressing your ideas, and you're open to doing whatever, you know, because nobody's really questioning it in the environment that you're in. And then you go to school. It's like all these different ideals of what a person can be are incorporated into all these little people from the adults and others that have been influencing them thus far. And so they might look at you and go, probably wouldn't say that, but like, what are you doing? That's weird. Or, you know, that's when you first get the criticism, the first little hints of criticism. And you think, well, it's never been weird before. And, you know, like, so then you pick up and you keep going and you still do it. But these are the little things that kind of like start to change the way we've been developing. And so now, right, like, so now you see the child within us all start to change. And now this inability to defend oneself against negative forces, and those negative forces can be criticism, and then that can turn into self-criticism. It can easily turn into self-criticism. Maybe that's part of the addict here. And then selling insights to the highest bidder. Compromising your vision to make it more acceptable. Well, I don't really have many new friends here to play with. I think I know what they want me to say. I think I know what kind of ideas they like me to share. So I'm going to go share that with them. And I suddenly become popular in the group. Right? I mean, that's kind of how it can work. So now the child within you has started to compromise your vision because it's not accepted by everything and everyone. But this is a new concept because it always was when I was, you know, just at home. Or you quickly understood. Like it was just, you're formed. You're all, from the time we're born, we're being formed into a dynamic. And I mean, you could have been formed into a dynamic that was highly critical. And you could have been that one that somebody who was just, you know, very innocent. That's stupid. Why are you doing that? But then that highly critical version of you would start to notice that, oh, I don't have any friends. They don't like me to be critical. So then you might go completely back, and then you tell people falsehoods about, you make people feel good about things that, you know, if you want to be a good friend, you should really be honest and say, you got a big booger under your nose. You need to do something about it. Right? Like, it's so fascinating, this energy, Leo. All right. So anyways, I feel like we can heal like all our inner childs in these readings. And yours is really what are we touching on here? Okay. The shadow of the Virgin, fear of intimate union. That's interesting. Because I'm feeling too, like I'm feeling this is even looking at a progression of your own evolution as a person here. And now you get to this point where, because intimate union, talking about the Virgin, I mean, it doesn't have to be sexual, but it definitely is like more intimate relationships, like how you share yourself. See, now this becomes all like confused and muddled because it started off really good. Oh, but then there was some criticism and these negative forces, they don't like me. So, okay, well, I need some friends. I'm a social little monkey, so I have to get in there somehow. And then you compromise how you express yourself. You even perhaps compromise who you feel comfortable with and not. And then you end up probably burned at some point because you know that you're compromising yourself at some point. And then that's where you may become fearful of now who you engage with, who you become friends with. This is really interesting. It reminds me a bit of the woman 2 doors down. Giving her lots of space. She does seem to be very closed off. And it's funny because a few people in the neighborhood have said she seems like kind of a bitch. So I thought, well, let's just see. But there's something I've noticed. She's got a couple of kids. They're younger. I think she's on her own. I'm not sure. But anyways, one thing I've noticed though is that lots of kids go to play at her house. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with her. I think she's closed off. She's probably been burned and she's very hesitant to, talk to anybody. Interesting energy. Okay, so let's see where this goes. It's an interesting reading. I'm really thinking about that lady. I think she's probably quite an interesting person. I also think she's probably quite a good friend when she is a friend to someone. Actually, I know she is because she took her snowblower down the road to one lady that she does talk to. And it ran out of gas. Well, I didn't know what was going on actually first because I don't sit out my window and stare at people. I'm not sure. My snowplow guy came, but there was some stuff that I still needed to do with the shovel. So I was out there and I was kind of casually observing. But then she walked back. She came back without the snowblower, but then she walked back with a small gas tank. And I thought, oh, it's ran out of gas. I thought she's not, but yeah, it's hard to get a hi out of her in the mornings or a good morning. She's getting a little bit better. But yeah, right? Like, and you look at, like, you can look at people, if you try to look at people in that way and just don't, say, forget it. That person is just a grumpy old bitch. There's a lot of signs that indicate she's not to me. That she's done that for a friend down the street. She's very particular in who she chooses for friends. And that there's tons of kids that go over there to play with her kids. And she doesn't have a problem with it, right? So she's like open to like childlike energy and children feel comfortable with her. So I'm like, People are fascinating. You shouldn't just look at them on the surface, right? I don't know, she should be my friend or not. I'm not pushing for that. I'm just gonna keep saying hi to her and see where it goes. So let's see where we go with this. The L-Key deck. She who, they who, all that who. All right, release. Now, the following cards that I pull out are gonna give me like a more of an explanation in terms of kind of like what is going on inside of you. Like if you let something go, you let this addiction go. This addiction could be actually holding people back. It's funny that I'm talking about her, right? Because she does. She keeps a good arm's length. I'm like, I'm fine with that. I get it. I've had to do that sometimes. I'm still doing that. But yeah. So maybe there's a bit of that. Like this addiction to keeping people at arm's length even? Okay. She who rises up, empower, uplift, and elevate. Yeah, I'm seeing an evolution here in these cards. Definitely, like this is like the evolution of living, I think. At least in our society. I don't know how it would play out in like some other ones. There's still a lot of different cultures around. But just the experience of a child, what I described, and then how that kind of metamorphoses into trying to survive in an environment where not everybody accepts you, and then compromising yourself a whole bunch of little ways along the path, and then getting to a point in probably at some level in adulthood where you have been burned. But a lot of times you've been burned because you compromised yourself and you allowed yourself, you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable when you're compromising yourself. Even though you think you might be empowering yourself because, well, now I fit in with this group, or now this, you know, like it. But then when that burn happens, that's when I feel like the shadow. I feel like the shadows are really important in your reading. Fear of intimate union. So, but you know, that again, that's that. Like, she's keeping a lot of people at arm's length. I don't know what happened to her. She's got every right to do that. And I don't know if this is her reading. I don't even think she watched me. She didn't even know me. I know what I do. So, but I think she's almost like the symbol of this reading somehow. And right? But to rise up now, because once you understand and you can be confident in knowing exactly who you are, and even looking at those bits that other people have maybe not liked, or that people have criticized you in, spending the time evolving through it and picking some of those pieces out again and going, wait a second, I really like those, and there was nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with them at all. Because that's when you really find your confidence. So I feel like this isn't an addiction of keeping people, or perhaps a certain types of social connections at arm's length. And if you release this addiction of doing that, this does. You empower yourself, you uplift, and you elevate. Okay, so now I want to say, though, this is really embracing your, I will say, feminine power. Now, whether you're male, female, anything in between, well, actually, let's not get into that. Feminine or masculine, let's keep it there. Because this is a masculine that's keeping the water here at bay. So this is like, you know, utilizing your masculine energy, which can be very protective, which can be forceful. All of these cards that are coming out, except that one, are like a feminine energy. And I would say a young child is too. There's a sense of vulnerability with that energy also. So this is like your feminine. And it does tend to be the part of you, like the feminine energy is like the moon. It is wild, it is untethered, it is often too criticized. So that's the part of you here that really opens up when you stop holding things back from you. Oh, I haven't pulled a card there. What is that? She who prepares, formulates, strategize, and devise. Well then. This could be utilizing, I want to say this is utilizing your sexuality and your creativity in a very open-hearted way here to create a path for you. Oh, this is great. What's the bottom? She was wild, untamed, wild, and mysterious. That was the energy I was saying, like the feminine part of you here that's gonna be coming out. A sauvage. The savage. But that's her name, Sauvage. Yeah, I can't really wait. Can't wait for the spring to get out and know more about these people around me, because I moved here in the winter, and in Canada you don't get to know people in the winter really. I remember when I was like high school years, where my mom and I lived, and we got like a lot of snow up there, and every winter, like every fall, you know, you'd see people getting their yards ready and then they'd be gone for the winter. This one family, kind of like kitty corner to our house, I swear every spring there was a new baby that came out. Like, how long were we in the houses? Because now you have another kid. Oh, wait a second. Okay, yes, I have to follow my intention here. And then I'm gonna pull out a card for the middle. Okay. The energy between these two. The energy between these 2 points. This release and receive. Whoa, honey, you got the Empress. Wow, this is really powerful. Now, it's funny because the Empress came, it was sitting between these two energies for Cancer, I think it was. But it was weird. It was like, could it be another person? Yours, this is all about you. Leo, I want to say, like, this is really coming through, like, all about you. Wow. And as I say that, what's at the bottom? The Strength card, your card in the tarot. So you have the Page of Wands, the Five of Wands, and the Strength card. This, I don't know why. I almost feel like there's something you need to speak up about. Something that you need to, your voice to be heard amongst the many. I also get with this too, because when somebody is empowered and uplifted and elevated and confident, like in a very healthy way, that this is also, like with the Strength card coming in at the end, it can also be, you know, knowing when to enter that conversation or to enter that competition is kind of lowering yourself. Don't do it. You just like keep yourself tight, keep yourself contained, keep your mouth closed. You don't need to get into that. All right. I feel like some of you all are gonna have, it's almost like a what would you call it, like a going out, or somehow, like, I'm not getting the right word, like showcasing yourself, or you're obviously like elevate, but it is a reintroduction. Maybe that's almost like a reintroduction into society somehow is what this feels like. And what you really, though, is to stop pushing back your own wave of emotions and recognize what those emotions mean to you. Because I feel like you've fine-tuned how you feel in certain circumstances, how certain types of people make you feel, but understanding what those feelings mean. So you have the Knight of Pentacles, Temperance, and the Page of Swords. Yeah, I mean, because this just feels like, you know, having a long-term plan, being patient with it, allowing a lot of things that are changing within you and around you to happen, and just kind of observe and learn from all of this with the Page of Swords. But that's what you're releasing. You're like closing off that cycle. This, to me, your reading is very cyclical feeling, like close off this cycle, open up this one. And then, okay, so the receive, the Five of Pentacles, Judgment, and the Nine of Cups. Prepare, formulate, strategize, and devise. Oh, there you go. With the Judgment too, like that's that whole feeling of some kind of reintroduction into something. I say society, but it's some facet of your life here that you've been pushing back even, right? That you've been holding back. You're literally going, whether you find yourself in a change in terms of maybe money or just physical abundance or lack thereof around you, it doesn't seem to affect you emotionally, which I think is great. I mean, that's really what you feel, is the emotional effect of physical things. And what was I saying? It's almost like your emotions you're becoming so in tune with how you feel that it's almost like becoming a communication. It's like, and if you are in tune to your emotions, you'd be like, well, Cindy, you know, you should know what you feel. But there's a lot of people that don't. There's a lot of people that don't know how they feel. And I want to say too, I think we all evolve in terms of understanding more and more about how we feel and what those feelings mean. Because the 9 of Cups, this is feeling pretty good. This is feeling pretty good. Okay, I am going to touch on too that I feel like for some of you, what I said earlier on, if there is some form of addiction here that you would be thinking about, okay, this is the week that I'm going to take the first steps to getting past through, healed of this addiction. With the 9 of Cups, because the 9 of Cups can also symbolize, I almost rarely talk about it, but it's here, overconsumption. It can symbolize that. There's all these cups in the air, and there's also a coffee, or it looks like a coffee. So think about that. This could have something to do with caffeine, but I feel like for those of you that are thinking about starting it, there's something coming in the future that honestly would make it almost impossible for you to not engage in whatever this addiction is right now. And you would probably fall short, and then you would blame yourself for it and not try. Like it's such a hard thing to say, because I honestly, I would never want to tell anybody not to take the first steps. And it isn't that, it's not to never do it. It just feels like this week isn't the best week. Next week is. Next week would be the better week for you if that's something that you're contemplating. Because it does feel like if you tried this week and you failed because the environment was just really not conducive to success, that you wouldn't try next week. You know, and I guess I feel like it's better to postpone it, even if it's a week, to have success, start on the road of success 1 week later. And formulate, strategize, and devise, even that, like that's what's coming in for you. It's building on your dreams here. Building on your dreams. And I feel like some of these dreams you've kept a little bit too small for yourself, because these dreams seem like they're really intimately connected to you. And there's parts of you that you've kept a little bit too small from things of the past. Okay, this Empress in the middle. Empress in the middle. The 5 of Swords and the High Priestess. Well, that's interesting, because visionary, that's kind of like a bit of a High Priestessy energy there too. The 5 of Swords is something that somehow you've cut out your intuition. It's interesting. So somehow your intuition has been stifled a little bit. But that makes sense too, with holding the waves back to allow this to flow forward now. What have you been tempering, and it's time to stop tempering? The 4 of Wands, having a good time, celebrating. It's time to celebrate. What have you been tempering? Celebration. It kind of feels like you've been doing a lot of work. Well, maybe work, like physical, like working somewhere. But I feel like work on yourself. Page of Swords. The Death card. The Page of Wands, the Lovers, and the 4 of Pentacles. Again, this has got the feeling of somebody who's watching but not participating in things that you would really like. So You're all getting ready for another, I don't know, have you had other big cycles? This is an interesting cycle. This is a very powerful, self-empowering cycle. The femme fatale. Ooh. Look at this. This is the energy that you were told no and causes a lot of conflict. That's where you're going, honey. You're gonna embrace that. Oh, I'm hearing witchy woman. See how they I kind of like a bit. What's that? Ooh, witchy woman. See the moon in her eyes, right? That is something. Maybe y'all gonna be dancing under the moonlight and howling nakedly. I don't know. But it is, because this is so intriguing, this energy. I'm telling you, this really feels like it's going on forever, but there's so many layers to it. And it's almost like surgically removing the layers too. It's not like you have to rip it apart. Like, we have to surgically remove these layers, Leo, and really look at them delicately and intimately. But this Eight of Swords, this is no, no, no. You can't do this. You can't go there. Oh, there's so much argument and conflict with that. Yeah, I'm really getting that song coming in with that. Witchy woman. They who prepare. The 10 of Pentacles. Wow, going from the 5 to the 10. Look at this. See? There's big plans in the future for you, because you start off this receive cycle with the 5 of Pentacles. But then you go into Judgment and the 9 of Cups. Like, it's flowing. 5 of Pentacles. 8 of Pentacles, 6 of Pentacles. Oh, God. What are you working on? Something here that you give so much, it takes too much away from you. You're giving so much of yourself, you find you're the one out in the cold. Wow, that's crazy, right? But maybe that's how you've been compromising yourself. The Judgment card. The Knight of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles. You're charging towards a new beginning. Stop holding things back. Trust your intuition. Release the beautiful parts of yourself that you were taught early on or told early on that weren't acceptable, or it was demonstrated to you in some fashion. The 9 of Cups. The Wheel of Fortune and the 2 of Pentacles. Wow, you're going to have some choices to balance in the future here. You're going to have some options. You might have more than one new beginning coming in that you need to balance. And it's fortunate. This is fortunate. I feel like with the Wheel of Fortune and the 2 of Pentacles, it's almost like your circumstances are changing. Yes, you're kind of coming into a lucky cycle here. But if you were hoping to have, well, I hope I can get at least one of those options, then you end up with 2. Oh, there you are. Look at this, with the 10 of Wands and the King of Wands. I tell you, if anybody knows how to deal with a burden, it's the King of Wands. Because he's right, he's the king of all the wands. This person is carrying all the wands. So you're getting to the end of a very difficult cycle, and you're about to go on a very new dynamic journey here. Yeah, so that was a lot to peel there. I'm going to go do the extended, Leo. In the extended, I'm going to look at what motivates you at this time. What are you most anxious about? And then I'm going to look at this about, there's 2 different levels of advice and outcomes and, all that stuff. So thank you so much, Leo. Until next time, do be gentle with yourselves. Bye.